Hey everyone, hope you're doing very well. Today I wanted to talk about my thoughts on the Texas Chain Saw Massacre game and what I think for the future of that. So my first impressions are positive, which I don't think is any too big of a surprise. I felt that this game had a lot to offer compared to a lot of other asymmetrical horror games that I've played before. I don't know. Even things like VHS, I have played before and I didn't necessarily have this much of a draw to. Again, a lot of it is the hype around this game. This game has a lot going for it in that regard. But I think it's really, really well done, and I think it creates a unique experience, and it's not necessarily just one of those copycat asymmetrical horror games that's trying to follow a Dead by Daylight model. Rather, I think it brings something new and fresh to the table. So honestly, I think this game is going to most likely do well. We'll have to see how everything flushes out and looks when it is released in August. But overall, first impressions, I think it's pretty good. The next thing I wanted to look at is if Dead by Daylight has competition, and I think it's a yes and a no. This game is not Dead by Daylight, and I think a lot of people, if they go into this game kind of expecting it to just be another Dead by Daylight, they might be a little disappointed or even confused. And I think, seriously, it's because it's not Dead by Daylight. It's so much more focused on this stealth kind of style of gameplay. You can also be aggressive. There's 3 family members, killers, essentially. So it has a different feel. It's a different game. And there's even this level of, survivors, able to work together, but you can also be extremely independent in this game and still make your way out. So I think it has a lot of different things to offer, and it's just not Dead by Daylight. It's very different, which I am such a big fan of. I think that's going to bode really well for this game. And it gives it a charm, a freshness, a uniqueness, and I think that's going to do a lot for it, seriously. I also love that the killer role in this game has this level of dependency on the other killers. I feel like typically in most horror games, asymmetrical horror games, that kind of a thing, the responsibility is set on one sole killer, and I think it's brilliant that it's shared across a few. And I think it keeps the game very, very, very interesting, and is going to offer a pretty unique experience in that regard. So the big thing is, I think Dead by Daylight is going to have to work to retain their players. And it's a hard thing because this is a new game, right? This is a new game. It has a lot of hype behind it. It has a lot of charm to it. It's, people are excited about this. Dead by Daylight has been out for ages now. And again, not in a bad way. It's a great game. I stream it all the time. But I think they're going to have to just make sure to bring a level of freshness to their game in order to retain players. And it's also just these things happen. New games come out. People play new games. People play old games. I think it's going to be a swinging pendulum of people going back and forth. And it depends on what you're in the mood for. I think they're different experiences completely. So we'll have to see. But I think, yes, Dead by Daylight has competition, but also this is a different game. So yeah, time will tell, I would say. Do I think Texas Chain Saw Massacre is going to last? Yes, I do. From the technical test server, I got to play the most base vanilla version of the game, and I thought it was great. And I think it's only going to get better because they have things such as skill trees, those kinds of progression, those different sorts of play styles that are going to come along when the game is fully released. And I think that's going to be very, very exciting and cause a lot of players to want to learn and cause a lot of players to have investment in this game, which I think is very smart on their part. They didn't just build this vanilla-based game and call it a day. They've built this base game that feels really good, plays really well. And again, on the technical test server, we didn't play this with any of those skill trees or hardly understanding how abilities and things of that nature worked. And it was a great experience nonetheless. So I think when these new factors come into the live servers, it's going to make a big difference, and it's going to be very, very, very fun. And I think it's going to add a lot of longevity to the game. And again, I think this idea of having 3 killers essentially is just really smart. It brings a totally different experience to the game, and I think a lot of players are going to enjoy that, and I think it's going to add to the longevity of this game. I also have a few concerns with the game. Number one are the roles and characters you'll be able to play. Are we going to be able to play which victim we would like to play? Are we going to be able to play which family member we'd like to play? I see this as a double-edged sword. I think if we get to play the family members we want to play, we might have queuing issues. A lot of people might want to be playing the cook or the Leatherface. Those just might be issues that we have, and other roles, maybe such as Hitchhiker, aren't getting as much love. Additionally, I don't think victims being able to play the same role is a good idea. If you had 4 Connies on a team, you know, it would be ridiculously it would be ridiculous. So I'm curious if we're going to be able to pick roles, and how that's going to affect the queues. And I can see people being upset if they can't play XYZ role, and that is potentially an issue. And I think it's on the developers in a way to sort of make each and every one of these roles interesting, unique, and have players want to learn every role. And that way, I think it'll really help the queuing issue. We'll see where that goes. I'm also just a little bit concerned about the Hitchhiker role. I've seen a lot of people show interest in the Cook and Bubba. And don't get me wrong, the Hitchhiker role is very cool. I like the chase style. I like this idea of setting up traps. But it just seems like one of those roles that might get a little repetitive in nature. And again, I don't know. We played the technical test server, and you know, it wasn't a whole lot of time to feel out how this game is going to be. But I am overall a little concerned with the Hitchhiker role. I think it is maybe just a little bit lackluster compared to the other 2 family members. And that might create some people dodging lobbies if they do get this role. I don't know. We'll have to see. And again, it's not out yet. They may make some changes, and we'll just have to see where everything goes with that. But that's just my other little concern. I also feel like the developer team for this game is incredibly intelligent. I think they're going to knock it out of the park, and I think they have an idea and they're aware of these issues of people possibly being a little bit concerned about being able to play each role. So we'll see where that goes. But I think they're pretty smart, and I think they're going to figure it out. So my final thoughts are, despite the hype and all the craziness that's going along with this, I think it is a good game. I don't think it's being carried by that hype. I don't think it's being carried by just being a new asymmetrical horror game that's coming out. I mean, games like Evil Dead, VHS, you know, despite the hype that those did or did not have, I think this is a good game. And I think there were flaws in those other games that may have contributed or not contributed to their successes. So I think it's a good game. And I think it's going to turn out really well. I do. And I think this game is easy enough to get your foot in the door, where you're sort of playing, you're having a fun time, a good laugh, a good scare, whatever it may be, and you're enjoying yourself despite maybe not understanding how anything works. And as you play more and more matches, you become more comfortable, you find more survivor escape routes, you find out how to use your family members to the best of their abilities. And it makes a very unique learning experience, and it's super rewarding for the player, which that's, I think, the most important thing in a game is if it feels rewarding, you want to continue playing, you want to learn more, you want to get better at the game. I think that's incredibly important for a multiplayer horror game. And I think it's going to just bring so much uniqueness, charm, and longevity to this game. And I know I said this, but it's the small victories along the way with this game that attribute to that really large feeling of success. And even watching and learning from other players, I think it's a pretty unique experience, and I think it makes for a great game. So overall, I think it's going to be really good. I'm very excited. And yeah, let's rope it in August. I think it'll be lots and lots of fun. I know it's a bit of an impromptu video, but I wanted to share my thoughts, and I also want to hear all of your thoughts. Seriously, I'm curious what concerns you have, what you think about this game, what the future of Texas Chain Saw Massacre looks like for you. Let me know. I'm curious. And yeah, let's have a discussion. And thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you. I know you could be anywhere on YouTube, so hats off to you. Thanks so much. Take care. Take it easy. And we'll see you in the next one.